Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you're all fine and keeping safe. Today we are going to start a new unit, circulation. Before starting this new unit, let's dive into some history. Dear students, do you know that earliest attempts of explaining circulation were made as early as in the 2nd century. These attempts were made by Claudius Galenus, also known as Galen, who was a physician, surgeon, and a philosopher in the Roman Empire. What he proposed might come as a shock to you. He proposed that the blood came from food through liver. This blood then entered the heart where it was heated. According to him, the only function of the heart was to heat the blood. This heated blood then moved into the veins and not the arteries. This might come as a shock to you that this concept was upheld up to the 16th century. That is why you might have heard Shakespeare using his very famous sentence, coursing through their veins. Galenus also proposed that the arteries only carried air and the spirit. Arteries gained this air from the lungs, and this mixture of air and spirits was then supplied to the tissues all over the body. This concept was challenged in the 12th century by a Muslim scientist, Ibn al-Nafis, who was born in Damascus. He challenged Galen's belief and proposed a closed-circuit circulation comprising of both arteries and veins. He also attempted to explain the pulmonary circulation. This figure that you see on your screens is taken from the notebook of Ibn al-Nafis, showing blood vessels supplying all the tissues of the body. Then in the 16th century, William Harvey, a British scientist, conducted various experiments on animals and humans to explain and better study the concepts of circulation. He refuted the very famous concepts of Galen and introduced the closed-circuit circulation as we know now. He proposed that arteries carried oxygenated blood, which supplied oxygen to the tissues, while veins carried deoxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood was carried to the heart and then to the lungs to be oxygenated. This figure shows the circulation as explained by William Harvey. It is very close to the concept of circulation which we have now. I hope I have gained your interest. So now let's move on to the definition of circulation. So starting with the definition of circulatory system, it is the transport system that circulates the blood throughout the body in a closed continuous circuit. इस सर्किट के सेंटर में हार्ट है जो कि ऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड को पंप करता है इनटू द आर्टरीज. ये आर्टरीज इस ऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड को टिश्यूज़ तक लेकर जाती हैं where the oxygen is utilized. Then deoxygenated blood from the tissues is carried through the veins back to the heart, which pumps it into the lungs to be oxygenated. Now moving on to the functions of circulation. First and foremost, it supplies oxygen and nutrients to the tissues. Secondly, it carries carbon dioxide and waste products from the tissues to different excretory organs. For example, it carries carbon dioxide to the lungs to be expelled from the body into the air. It carries waste products from different tissues to kidneys and liver to be excreted in the urine or feces accordingly. Another important function of circulation is that it carries the heat from the internal organs of the body to the surface of the skin. Here, this heat is dissipated into the environment, thus cooling the body. Another important function is the distribution of hormones and other secretions from glands which produce them to the tissues all over the body. Fifth important function of circulation is in the maintenance of pH of the body. Blood and circulation play important role in buffering pH. Circulation carries the blood to two main buffering organs of the body, that is the lungs and the kidneys. In the lungs, carbon dioxide is blown off to reduce the hydrogen ion concentration of the body. Whereas in the kidneys, hydrogen ions or bicarb ions are excreted to maintain the pH. Another important role of circulation is homeostasis, that is maintaining the internal environment of the body. There are two types of circulation: the systemic circulation and the pulmonary circulation. In this figure, you can see both these circulations. Here, you can see the pulmonary circulation involving the lungs. Here you can see the systemic circulation involving the peripheral tissues of the body. The systemic circulation is also known as the peripheral circulation or the greater circulation. It carries oxygenated blood from the heart towards the tissues. It then carries deoxygenated blood from the tissues back towards the heart. Systemic circulation is high pressure circulation. The mean pressure in the aorta is as high as 100 mm mercury. The second type of circulation is the pulmonary circulation. It is the circulation in which deoxygenated blood, which reaches the heart from all over the body, is pumped into the lungs, where exchange of gases take place and oxygenated blood is returned back towards the heart. It is a low pressure circulation. The mean arterial pressure in the pulmonary artery is 16 mm mercury. अगर कंपैरिजन किया जाए तो आप देख सकते हैं कि सिस्टेमिक सर्कुलेशन और पल्मोनरी सर्कुलेशन में प्रेशर्स का बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस है. जहाँ सिस्टेमिक सर्कुलेशन में मीन एओर्टिक प्रेशर 100 mm mercury था, वहीं पल्मोनरी सर्कुलेशन में मीन पल्मोनरी आर्टरी प्रेशर 16 mm mercury है. Now, let's discuss the functional parts of circulation. In this topic, we are going to discuss different types of vessels and their classification. Vessels are classified into 6 types. The first type is known as the windkessel vessels. इस टाइप में बॉडी की तमाम लार्ज आर्टरीज आती हैं, जैसे कि एओर्टा और उसकी मेजर ब्रांचेस. दूसरे नंबर पर रेजिस्टेंस वेसल्स आती हैं. ये वो वेसल्स होती हैं जिनके अंदर रेजिस्टेंस सबसे ज़्यादा होती है, एंड दीज आर द आर्टरियोल्स. थर्ड आर द स्फिंक्टर वेसल्स. ये ऐसी वेसल्स हैं जिनके अंदर स्फिंक्टर्स मौजूद होते हैं. इन वेसल्स को मेट आर्टरियोल्स कहते हैं. फोर्थ नंबर पे एक्सचेंज वेसल्स आती हैं. ये वो वेसल्स हैं जहाँ पर ब्लड और टिश्यू के दरमियान न्यूट्रिएंट्स और वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स और गैसेस एक्सचेंज होती हैं. दीज वेसल्स आर द कैपिलरीज. फिफ्थ नंबर पर कैपेसिटेंस वेसल्स आती हैं. and these are the veins. And finally, the sixth type of vessels are the shunt vessels. In this figure, you can see all of these vessels except the windkessel vessels. यहाँ आपको आर्ट्रियोल्स नज़र आ रही हैं जो कि आर्टरीज़ की छोटी ब्रांचेस हैं. ये आर्ट्रियोल्स डिवाइड होती हैं इनटू द कैपिलरीज where exchange of nutrients and waste products takes place. Between the arterioles and the capillaries are present the metarterioles. ये ऐसी वेसल्स हैं जो आर्ट्रियोल्स और कैपिलरीज को कनेक्ट करती हैं. मेटार्ट्रियोल्स पर कुछ स्फिंक्टर्स मौजूद होते हैं जिनको प्री कैपिलरी स्फिंक्टर कहते हैं. इस वजह से मेटार्ट्रियोल्स को स्फिंक्टर वेसल्स भी कहते हैं. ये कैपिलरीज मिलकर वेन्यूल्स बनाती हैं और ये वेन्यूल्स मिलकर लार्जर वेन्स बनाती हैं. लार्जर वेन्स को कैपेसिटेंस वेसल्स भी कहा जाता है. Finally, you can also see bypass vessels या shunt vessels. ये ऐसी वेसल्स हैं जो कि आर्ट्रियोल्स को डायरेक्टली वेन्यूल्स से जोड़ती हैं. In this way, you can bypass the capillaries. Now, let us discuss all these types in detail. सबसे पहले windkessel vessels आती हैं. Windkessel vessels को स्टडी करने के लिए you must first study the windkessel effect. To better understand this effect, let's watch a video together. To visualize the windkessel effect, a hose or a pipe was tied to a water pump. And this pipe was then placed in a tub. Every time the water pump was switched on, the water would flow from the pump into the pipe and fall into the tub. But every time the water pump was switched off, this flow of water ceased. Then this experiment was repeated by tying a very elastic balloon at the end of the hose. Now, when the pump is turned on, the water accumulates in this elastic balloon, and when the pump is switched off, this elastic balloon recoils and pours water into the tank, ensuring continuous supply of water. The windkessel effect has large utilizations and applications in different occupations. लेकिन इसकी एक बहुत important example जो है that is in the fire brigades. वहाँ पर ये effect जो है ये apply होता है, ये principle apply होता है to ensure the continuous delivery of water during rescue missions. अगर यही concept हम human body के ऊपर apply करें तो आप जानते हैं कि हार्ट के लेफ़्ट वेंट्रिकल से एक मेजर वेसल एओर्टा एग्जिट करती है which is very elastic in nature. You also know that heart only pumps blood during systole and does not pump blood during diastole. If not for aorta and its elasticity, तो तमाम टिश्यूज़ को सिर्फ सिस्टली में ब्लड पहुंचता और डायस्टली में ब्लड ना पहुंचता. To ensure continuous delivery of blood to the tissues during systole as well as diastole, the role of aorta must be appreciated. ये large vessels बहुत elastic होती हैं और जिस तरह के आपने वीडियोज़ में देखा था कि किस तरह वो बैलून जो है वो इन्फ्लेट होता था जब उसके अंदर वाटर पंप किया जाता था, और जब उसमें वाटर पंप नहीं किया जाता था तो ये ख़ुद कंट्रैक्ट करके अपने अंदर स्टोर्ड वाटर को आगे की तरफ पुश करता था. बिल्कुल उसी तरह जो एओर्टा है वो अपनी इलास्टिसिटी की वजह से जब उसके अंदर ड्यूरिंग सिस्टली हार्ट ब्लड पंप करता है तो ये डायलेट हो जाता है और इसके अंदर ब्लड स्टोर हो जाता है और ये स्टोर्ड ब्लड ड्यूरिंग डायस्टली टिश्यूज़ को सप्लाई किया जाता है जब एओर्टा वापस रिकॉइल करता है ड्यू टू इट्स इलास्टिसिटी. दिस इज़ नोन एज द विंडकेसल इफेक्ट. Windkessel vessels include large arteries like aorta and its main branches. Windkessel vessels are also known as elastic reservoirs. They are called so because of their ability to stretch and store blood during systole and then to recoil and distribute this blood during diastole. They have strong elastic and distensible walls. They transport blood under high velocity and high pressure. The main examples are aorta and its main branches. The functions of all the arteries of the body is to transport blood under high pressure to the peripheral tissues. They also serve as high pressure reservoirs to receive pulsatile output of blood from the heart. Now, what does pulsatile output of blood from heart mean? It means that heart pumps its blood in pulsatile manner. That is, blood flows from the heart into these arteries during systole and does not flow from the heart to the vessels during diastole. This is known as pulsatile output of blood from the heart. This blood, which is stored in these vessels during systole, is then distributed to the peripheral tissue during diastole. This is known as the windkessel effect. The next type of vessels are the resistance vessels. Resistance vessels are actually arterioles, which are the smallest branches of the arteries. इनको resistance vessels इसलिए कहा जाता है क्योंकि पूरे circulatory tree में blood को सबसे ज़्यादा resistance का सामना arterioles में करना पड़ता है. The reason for this is that the walls of arterioles are very rich in smooth muscle. This smooth muscle has the ability to completely obstruct the lumen of the arterioles by constricting or dilating many folds. Arterioles play a very important role in the peripheral resistance and controlling blood pressure. एक इम्पॉर्टेंट MCQ जो इस हवाले से आता है is that which vessels are known as the resistance vessels. So the answer is that the resistance vessels are actually the arterioles, which are the smaller branches of arteries. Next are the sphincter vessels, which are the metarterioles. ये वो arterioles हैं या छोटी वेसल्स हैं जो आर्टरियोल्स को कैपिलरीज से कनेक्ट करती हैं. इन वेसल्स पर कुछ स्फिंक्टर्स भी मौजूद होते हैं जो कि इनमें से फ्लो ऑफ ब्लड को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. यही वजह है कि इनको स्फिंक्टर वेसल्स कहा जाता है. Next up are the exchange vessels. These are the capillaries. Do you know that in all of the circulatory tree, it is only the capillaries where the exchange of nutrients and gases can take place? The structure of the capillaries facilitates this exchange. It comprises of a single layer of endothelial cells resting on a very thin basement membrane. There are gaps between these endothelial cells, and the basement membrane is also not continuous. These gaps between the endothelial cells are known as pores, and they facilitate the exchange between the cells and the blood vessels. There are about 10 billion capillaries in the body. And these 10 billion capillaries, if placed side by side, would have the cross-sectional area of 2500 centimeters square, which is about 1/8 the surface area of a football field. The average pressure in the systemic capillaries is around 17 millimeter mercury, and that in the pulmonary capillaries is 7 millimeter mercuries. So here it can be seen that the pressure in the systemic capillaries is way higher than those in the pulmonary capillaries. The next type of vessels are capacitance vessels, which are the veins. Veins have thin walls with less elastic tissue as compared to the arteries. This is the reason they can be distended to a greater extent as compared to the arteries and can hold larger volumes of blood. That is why they are known as the capacitance vessels. They are in fact the major reservoirs of blood in the body. They have a very large lumen. They are thin-walled and relatively less muscular and with less elastic tissue. They can, however, constrict and relax under the influence of autonomic nerves. They can also change the amount of blood returning to the heart, which is the venous return. Pressure in the veins is very low. The functions of all the veins in the body are to transport blood from the peripheral tissues back towards the heart. Veins, as I mentioned before, can dilate and store large amounts of blood. And when there is need, they may also constrict and pour this blood back into the circulation. Veins propel blood back towards the heart with help of venous pumps. These pumps can be the muscles lying around the veins. Special venous pumps are your calf muscles. When your calf muscles contract, they push the blood from the legs back towards the heart. Your calf muscle, the soleus, is also known as the peripheral heart. Veins, by regulating the venous return, may also regulate the cardiac output. The next type of vessels are the shunt vessels. These are small vessels which link the arteries directly to the veins. As you can see the figure, these vessels allow the blood to bypass the capillaries and move directly from the arteries into the veins. These types of vessels are present in the skin of earlobes, the nose, and the fingertips. Now let's study the distribution of blood in different parts of circulation. Out of our blood, 84% is present or distributed in the systemic circulation, while only 16% is present in the heart and the lungs at any given time. The further division can be seen that 64% of the systemic blood lies in the veins. As I mentioned before, veins, due to their less elastic and less muscular walls, are capable of holding larger amounts of blood. Arteries carry 13% of the blood of the systemic circulation, while capillaries carry just 7% of the blood. Out of the 16% present in the heart and the lungs, 7% is carried in the heart at any given moment, while 9% is present in the pulmonary vessels. Here is a figure representing the distribution of blood in the circulation. Now let's study the cross-sectional area of different vessels. From this table, you can see that large vessels have the smallest cross-sectional area, while the smallest vessels, which are the capillaries, have the largest cross-sectional area, which is 2500 centimeters square. The reason for this is that capillaries are the most numerous vessels of the body. When all of these capillaries are placed side by side, their cross-sectional area far exceeds that of any other type of vessel. This is very important for MCQ. The cross-sectional area of capillaries is the largest among all types of vessels, which is 2500 centimeters square. As I mentioned before, that is about 1/8 of the surface area of a football field. To study the velocity of blood, you must remember a formula you studied previously in physics. Velocity of blood is equal to flow of blood divided by the cross-sectional area of the vessel. According to this formula, velocity is inversely proportional to cross-sectional area. Thus, the blood vessel having the largest cross-sectional area, that is the capillaries, have the slowest flow of blood. This slow flow of blood helps in adequate exchange between the capillaries and the tissues.